We are live. Don't need these anymore. Take these out. Unless someone's going to get on here. Who wants to join me on the stream? Welcome to Dharma Friends live stream hangout. Thanks for being here today. I just literally got off a call. Some of you know that my son does homeschool and we have to check in with the homeschool person and all that other stuff. So I literally just got off 1 minute ago. So I don't know who's here, but I guess we'll find out. If you haven't already, let us know in the chat where you are tuning in from. And during this live stream, it's a good chance to connect, meet some people from around the world. Also, if you have any questions about meditation, Zen, practice, life, any kind of question, go ahead and put it in the chat. Let's see who is here. I don't see Cesare today. Usually Cesare's in the chat like an hour before the live stream starts. Oh, I don't have water either. I need water. I'm going to have to do that. But Adam was the first one to chime in today about 12 minutes ago, 14 minutes ago. Adam says, hello from Poland. On my way back home in my van, few miles left. Great. So now back to driving. No more typing, just listening. Okay. Welcome, Adam. Glad you're here. Let's see who else is here. Danny's here. Danny says, greetings from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Good to see you again. Welcome back. Mr. J. Mango's here. Hi, all. Jeff Hopchong. Mr. Jet Mango says, here from Dublin, Ireland. Stefan's here. Good afternoon from Ottawa, Ontario. Hi from Baltimore. Eric's here. Eric says, howdy from Houston. Wow. I don't think we have we don't have any Zen centers in Texas, actually. It was curious, like the school I teach in Quantum School of Zen, we have a lot of centers in the United States, but I'm surprised that some states don't have a Zen center there. I do know some people practicing Zen in Houston. Eric, is there a Zen center near there in Houston, near where you are? Let me know. Anyways, again, welcome to the Dharma Friends live stream hangout. If you haven't already, let us know in the chat where you are watching this live stream from. It's also a good chance to connect. You can ask questions about Zen, meditation, your practice, any kind of question. Put it in the chat there. I do have some stuff to share with you. Probably talk about calendar stuff. I know I talked about this last week. Eric says, I attend the Houston Zen Center. Yes, with the Branching Streams Network at Soto. I wonder if I have my wife's cousin, I believe, practices at the Houston Zen Center. I'll have to ask him. So last week I talked a little bit about some schedule stuff, meaning some workshops I'm doing, some talks, things like that. If you want to join, let me see if I updated this on my website. Because I get people ask me about things. I'm going to share my screen, actually. Let's see what's going on. It's probably more interesting if I share my screen. All right, hold on. I've got a lot of tabs open. Let's share. Okay, Jason Quinzen. All right, let's check this out. Okay. Oh, I didn't know that popped up automatically. Interesting. So Dharma Friends live stream hangout. So yeah, some people ask me about this ox herding pictures. So it's a workshop I'm doing. It's starting on Monday, this Monday, March 16th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. This is the second time I've done this workshop about the ox herding pictures. I find it very valuable, actually. It has a pretty strong teaching in it that I'm going to share. So basically, if you go to jasonquinnzen.com, if you got the homepage, you'll see this right there. And if you go to the very bottom, I'm trying to put all of the events I'm doing in this calendar here. So this is going to be a 2-part workshop. I'll be doing it March 16th and also March 23rd. Leading retreat. So if anyone's interested in sitting online, I know some people do not have access to a Zen center. If you do have access to a Zen center near you, you're very lucky. Some people don't, or don't have any kind of connection with the teacher, but I'm leading a retreat on March 21st. That's Saturday, March 21st. Starts at 6 a.m. Pacific time, goes to 2 p.m. Pacific time. You can join the whole retreat or parts of it, anything you can do. Again, if you click on these links that give you more information about joining. What else? Am I doing something else? Oh, I will be going to, I'm going to stop sharing here. 1 second. I will be going to the Providence Zen Center on March 26th. So Providence Zen Center, or actually the Quantum School of Zen North America, is hosting Buddha's birthday celebration at the Providence Zen Center. I believe that's March 28th. Is that a Saturday? Let me take a look. Yes, March 28th. So I'll be flying out on March 26th. And if you haven't been to one of these ceremonies, it's pretty fun. There's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of practicing together. Definitely a lot of food, very good food. We enjoyed eating together. But there will be, the ceremony will have like an opening talk. I think there's going to be a Zen poem presented. I'll be doing the formal Dharma speech. I believe some of this is going to be streamed. Let me see if I can pull that information here. I should put this up here. Most likely the whole ceremony will be live streamed. I'm just taking a guess. I'm going to go to America. Let me, there we go. Wait, am I doing the right tab? Boom, boom, boom. All right. Let's just go to Quantum America and find out. Here we go, Buddha's birthday weekend. So here's the information for that. So it's going to be in person, and let's see, Buddha's birthday ceremony and the precept ceremony will be broadcasted on Zoom. There's no need to register if you're willing to attend only over Zoom. So the way I got to this website is, I don't have the direct link to the Americas. I believe I went to quantumzen.org, clicked on Americas, and then went to the programs, selected Buddha's birthday. So a lot happening. They're going to have the Buddha's birthday ceremony. I'll be giving the formal Dharma speech for that. They're going to have a precept ceremony that day. There's going to be, I guess, a sing-along with Matt Keeler, Jito Popsanin. There'll be a coffee hour, a lot going on. So if you're around that area, please come join us. And I believe the Sunday morning, sometimes on Sunday they would have programming, but Sunday morning looks like early morning will be practiced together, and then I'll be giving a Dharma talk on Sunday morning. So most likely somebody's going to give an opening talk, and I'll be answering questions. And that is definitely live streamed. They do it on YouTube and Facebook, I believe. So that's what's going on if you want to join me for these things. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Dharma Friends live stream hangout. Good chance to connect. If you have any questions about Zen, meditation, your practice, go ahead and put it in the chat. Hey, John's here. A little bit late, 10 minutes late today. That's actually quite early for you. John said, hey, you guys, which is from a movie, I believe. So those are the announcements of what's going on. I did want to share some teaching stuff with you. Trying to think if there's anything else to announce. So if you join me on Thursday morning practice, John would know about this. I've been reading from the Compass of Zen. There's a lot of good teaching in here. If you ever wanted to read about Buddhism simplified, I do definitely recommend this book. In this book, he talks about the different types of Buddhism and explains it in a way that anybody can understand. A lot of real life experience he shares with us. But there was something he talked about. He talked about the different types of meditation. I know a couple of weeks ago, we kind of got into this a little bit about mainly the different, why people practice meditation, right? So there's many different types of meditation practices, but there's also reasons why people practice meditation. Some people may practice meditation for like self-improvement or to get improve a skill. Some people practice meditation to be calm and peaceful. And we talked a little bit about the Zen meditation. So he talked about common people's meditation, Mahayana meditation, Theravada meditation. And one thing he said about Zen, which I found very interesting, is he broke it up into, I think, three points. So one is theoretical Zen. So I think obviously most scholars fit into this realm where, let me just read about this. Theoretical Zen is based on thinking. It is only dry intellectual theory about the nature of form and emptiness. So form is emptiness and emptiness is form. Many high-class scholars and artists already understand this point conceptually. Now, this is interesting too. Somebody asked me about taking special medicine, I guess we can call it drugs, and how that connects with Zen practice. I still haven't made that video. It's a very interesting topic. One reason why I haven't made that video is I don't do drugs, I guess, or at least the strong ones, or any kind of drug, really. But I guess alcohol is a drug. The reason why, I haven't made this video because I don't have much experience with it. So I'm going to probably do like a interview kind of series. I have a person in mind. I just have to see if they're willing to do it. I'm not going to mention their name here, but they are a Zen teacher who has some experience in this realm. So Zen Master Sung Song said, also, some people will take drugs and for a short time realize that everything is the same and that everything comes from the same point. If you ask these people, here is a pencil. Do I have a pencil? There we go. This must be my daughter's pencil. I don't know where it came from. Here is a pencil. Are you and this pencil the same or different? Again, here is the pencil. Are you and this pencil the same or different? So he's saying that scholars, people who understand about Zen will say that it's the same. They understand this point. Everything in the universe is the same. All things are the same substance. So form is emptiness, emptiness is form. I am you and you are me. Understanding this is correct, but this is still only thinking. It's not complete attainment. Hey, Helena, she just jumped in. Good to see you. Sorry I'm late. Hello, everyone. We're just reading from The Compass of Zen, right? So here's an example that he gave about how I would say many people who practice only have an understanding. So one day, a student came to my room at Huaigesa Temple outside Seoul and banged on the door. Zen Master, I think I got enlightenment. I mean, already that's a mistake. I think I got enlightenment. First of all, I can never get enlightenment. So he goes, I think I got enlightenment. So Zen Master Sung Song said, oh, that's wonderful. So what did you attain? Right? So if you meet any kind of Zen teacher, you will get this kind of question. The student said, I attained nothing. Already that phrase is very interesting. I attain nothing? How can I attain nothing? So again, you can tell this is understanding. You attain nothing? That's very wonderful. But who has attained nothing? The student said, well, I attained nothing. Then Zen Master Sung Song took a stick. Boom! He hit the student. Who attained that? The student was stuck and could not answer. Yeah, perhaps the student understood something, but this is not a complete attainment. It's understanding something about attainment. Yet still, it is not true attainment. We call this theoretical Zen. So some of you know, by the way, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Dharma Friends live stream hangout. Good chance to connect. If you have any questions about Zen, meditation, practice, life, any kind of question, put it in the chat. If you haven't already, let us know where you're watching this live stream from. Some of you know about the Six Patriarchs poem. Let me get the Kongan book for you. 1 second. By the way, I got a new mouse. I know I've been having trouble with my other mouse where if I just like swipe something, I leave the stream somehow and go into the waiting room. So hopefully that won't happen anymore. I know it seemed like people enjoyed that because there's some real teaching in there. Okay, so I'm going to read from this. This is The Whole World's a Single Flower. And this is an exchange with the head monk and the sixth patriarch. So maybe some of you know, if you went to my workshop, you definitely know this, that the fifth patriarch of Zen was getting older and was wondering who the successor would be. So at the temple he taught at, he had or asked people to write a poem. Now, not too many people did. In fact, from what I understood, only 2 people did. So one was a kind of a senior head monk, and everyone thought that that would be the sixth patriarch. But Huineng, who eventually became the patriarch, also wrote a poem, and he actually got transmission. Now, no one thought that the Huineng would ever get transmission. Why is that? You know, it's very interesting. I got to do this workshop again because he was a very interesting person. First, he was illiterate. He couldn't read and he couldn't write. That's interesting. The next thing that was interesting, as Huineng was a layperson, he was not a monastic. So it's very rare that someone would get transmission and not be a monastic. He eventually did later. Another thing that's interesting about Huineng, he didn't sit meditation before he got transmission. Did you all hear that? He didn't sit meditation before he got transmission. Is that crazy? You know, this is where, again, we're talking about theoretical Zen. You know, like we have this idea, only if I do a lot of sitting and do a lot of retreats and pass a lot of koans, then I'll get enlightenment and I'll become a teacher. I hear this kind of talk once in a while. It's crazy. The sixth patriarch did not sit meditation. He was not a monastic and he couldn't read or write. I remember one time my teacher, Zen Master De Kwang, was, oh, Cesare is here. Cesare says, oh, hello. Oh, right. You have daylight savings now, or how you call it in the US. Yes, daylight savings. Don't worry, Cesare. A lot of people have been missing my events after we changed the clocks, which was last Sunday. So no problem. At least you're here now. You thought you were going to be the first one, right, to chime in. Today, it wasn't you, it was Adam. So anyways, my teacher's Hwage-san Seoul, and he was talking to a Korean monk. And this Korean monk looked at my teacher and said, how can you understand Buddhism when you don't even understand Chinese characters? And my teacher said, that's interesting. The Buddha didn't understand Chinese characters. Right? So we sometimes think we have to completely rely on our understanding. Or we have this idea like there's this progression. We need to do these things in order to realize enlightenment. But the sixth patriarch showed us that that's somehow I unmuted my mic. Okay. Do you hear me now? I hope it's working. All right. So the head monk of this temple wrote a poem because everyone thought he was going to be the successor. And then the Huineng heard about this poetry contest. And since he couldn't read the head monk's poem, he had somebody read it to him. And when Huineng heard the head monk's poem, Huineng knew that this person hasn't pierced or really attained or experienced enlightenment. In fact, even when the head monk wrote the poem, even the fifth ancestor also knew that he didn't have it. So I'm going to read the head monk's poem. This is translated. I'm not sure who translated this, but I'm going to guess it was Zen Master Sungsong. So this head monk's poem says, body is Bodhi tree. Mind is clear mirror's stand. Always clean, clean, clean. Don't keep dust. So when I read, if you're just joining us, when I read from this book, we talked about theoretical Zen. So this is the realm of theoretical Zen, kind of like this teaching. The form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Things appear, stay for some time, then disappear. This is all just understanding. So Huineng, when he heard the head monk's poem, he decided to write his own poem. And when I read this poem, each line hits this head monk's poem. So again, the head monk's poem, body is Bodhi tree. Mind is clear mirror stand. Always clean, clean, clean. Don't keep dust. We always think that, right? I got to clear my mind. Clear, clear, clear. Only understanding. So the sixth patriarch's poem said, Bodhi has no tree. Clear mirror has no stand. originally nothing. Where is dust? Right? So he hit this head monk's poem line by line, because the head monk said, body is Bodhi tree. Sixth patriarch said, Huineng said, Bodhi has no tree. Head monk said, mind is clear mirror stand. Huineng said, clear mirror has no stand. Head monk said, always clean, clean, clean. Huineng said, originally nothing. So that'd be like, originally there is nothing. Before thinking, what is there to clean? And of course, the head monk said, don't keep dust. And the sixth patriarch, Huineng, says, where is dust? Originally nothing, so where is dust? So when the fifth ancestor heard about Huineng's poem, that's when he gave him transmission. So if we look at that teaching, you can read this in the Heart Sutra. The form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. This is the realm of understanding. So if we look at Huineng's poem in the Heart Sutra, where he says, no form, no emptiness. In fact, there's the whole thing: no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. So we call that point emptiness. Before thinking, the absolute. There are many words for it, but it's actually the experience before thinking. So that's why talking about it is not possible, because anything you say is just theoretical. That's why it's called theoretical Zen. So it's really important. Yes, the understanding and reading can point us to a direction. It can give us some guide. But most important is we have to experience what these words are pointing to. So if you experience the mind before thinking, that's very important, because that means your mind in this moment are not separate. But this is very interesting. We also don't stay in the place of emptiness or stay in the place before thinking. In fact, that's not possible. Can you imagine that? So there is a kind of a Zen sickness, I call it, is where you're holding this experience, right, before thinking, this state of bliss. I even heard, or at least read about, actually heard from a monk about when the Buddha realized enlightenment, the Buddha did not want to get up from the Bodhi tree. He just was sitting in bliss. But eventually he got up. And he taught for 49 years. And he did a lot of talking during that time. If you read the sutras, he did a lot of talking. So that's interesting. Right? There's this understanding. Then there's experience before thinking. But then there's what we call function, action. So before I said in the Heart Sutra, it says form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Sometimes I'll give this analogy, right? If you have a tree, we give that name and form. Cut down the tree, boom, chop it up into pieces. It's no longer a tree. The name and form is empty. But this emptiness is now form. What do we call it now? Logs. Take those logs, set them on fire, and burn it all the way down. The name and form is empty. We no longer call it logs. This emptiness is now ashes. So, right, this is the realm of theoretical Zen. It's this understanding, and it can be quite helpful. But it's not complete, and it can only get you so far. So that's why in the Heart Sutra it talks about no form, no emptiness, no eyes, no ears, no toes, no body, no toes, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. But as the Buddha demonstrated, we don't stay in that place of before thinking or emptiness. So this is the next step. Form is form. Emptiness is emptiness. Right? Tree is a tree. Logs are logs. Ashes are ashes. So we get into the realm of what we call truth. So you might have heard this famous line. It's a very short poem that the mountain is water. Water is mountain. That's like saying form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Next step. No mountain, no water. Okay, next step. Mountain is mountain, water is water. But if I just say that, it's not expressing the truth. It's just an understanding. So how could we complete this poem? Mountain is water, water is mountain. No mountain, no water. Mountain is mountain, water is water. One more step. Put it in the chat if you have an idea. How can we complete this? If you're just joining us, welcome to the Dharma Friends live stream hangout. It's a good chance to connect. A lot of people are here today chiming in. If you haven't already, let us know where you are watching this stream from. Also, if you have any questions about anything I just talked about, but also meditation, your practice, life, any kind of question, put it in the chat. Adam says, I just arrived home. Now I'm going to hug my loved ones. I'll watch the recording later. Thank you for your teaching. Thank you all. So there's a very good demonstration of correct function. Sometimes you hear this word, at least I did when I thought about this or heard about this for the first time, correct function, meaning right or wrong. This is not the realm of right or wrong. It's just what's correct, right? For example, if you take water, put it in a pot, turn on the flame, get it up to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, it starts to boil. That's correct. A hen lays on her eggs and keeps them warm until they hatch. That's correct. So it's just meaning the correct relationship between ourselves and this moment. So Adam just got home. That's the situation. His family happens to be there. So he just got home. His family's there. That's the situation. He has some type of relationship. He's a father and a husband. So I'm assuming that his daughter and wife are there. And now I'm going to hug my loved ones and I'll watch the recording later. There's the function part. So you might hear this kind of teaching, definitely from Zen Master Sung Song, about correct situation, correct relationship, correct function. Before we can function correctly, we need to perceive the situation we are in clearly. We also have to understand our relationship at that moment, whether that's with a person or a thing. So one of Zen Master Sung Song's introductory koans, he would say, this is a cup. But in Korea, they don't say cup. In Mexico, they don't say cup. If you say it's a cup, then you are attached to name and form. But if you say nothing, then you are attached to emptiness. So I ask you, what is this? All right, so we have two questions that someone can put in the chat. Mr. Jet Mango, thank you so much for your donation. I forgot what they call these. Super sticker, super chat. I think it's called, yeah, super chats. Mr. Jet Mango says, thank you for spreading the Dharma and your guidance. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate that. It's because of support like this, also with my Patreon community, is how I'm able to do these live streams. It's how I'm able to meet students and talk to them. It's how I'm able to record videos and edit them and do all of that stuff and buy the equipment needed. So I really appreciate that. Very grateful. All right. So we had two questions. One is we have to finish the poem. That was first line. Mountain is water, water is mountain. Second line, no mountain, no water. Third line, mountain is mountain, water is water. What's the last line? Put it in the chat. And also, is this a cup or not? If you say it's a cup, you're attached to name and form. If you say nothing, you're attached to emptiness. So koan practice is really important in this aspect of it. It really helps us digest our understanding, to have an actual experience. I remember Zen Master Sung Song would talk about kimchi. Now, I think these days, probably everybody has had kimchi. If you haven't had kimchi before, let me know in the chat if you haven't. Most people I ask, oh yeah, of course I've had that. But back in the day, not so many people. I guess this was in the early 70s. So he would explain kimchi, right? You take a Napa cabbage, you chop it up, you put a lot of salt on it to draw out the moisture. When that's done, you put the cabbage in a jar. You can mix it with hot pepper paste, and you can put other vegetables in there. But the most important part is fermentation. So you put the lid on the jar, let it ferment. You can ferment it for 3 days. I think I liked, when I was making homemade kimchi, I think I did 3 days was a good spot for me. But you can go a lot longer. I've had 3-year-old kimchi. Don't recommend it. Anyways, after it's done fermenting, you take the lid off. It's got a very strong smell. Now, some people don't like the smell of kimchi. Kind of stinks. But when you taste it, it's a different experience. It's very bright. It's crunchy. It's spicy. It's alive, right? So now you understand a little bit about kimchi. If you want to know more, I mean, he would say go to the library. Now you just research it online. You can learn about the different types of kimchi and the way different cultures make kimchi. So eventually you have some clear understanding of kimchi. But then Zen Master Sung Song would say, have you attained it? No. How would you attain it? Go to the Korean market, buy a jar of kimchi, take off the lid, put it in your mouth, then boom, your understanding and the experience become one. We call that an awakening. So many people can talk about enlightenment, clear mind, true self, helping this world, correct function, all of this stuff. Much better than I can, for sure. But have they attained it? Meaning, have they experienced it? Jeff says COTS. Okay, that's good. That's a good start. So you say that. And then I'll say only that. Helena says you must have the experience of eating kimchi. Otherwise, you will never have your taste buds blown away. Yeah, I always have kimchi in the fridge. It's one of my favorite foods, actually. I have 3 favorite foods. Eggs, number 1. Avocados, number 2. Kimchi is number 3. In fact, I eat those most of the time. Mr. Jet Mango had a sweet potato fries with kimchi seasoning today. See, there you go. Cesare, kimchi ain't that bad. Yes, some people don't like it. My kids are not into it yet. So Katz, so the shout, this is pointing to the experience of before thinking. So back in the old days, you don't see this very much anymore. This is my Zen stick. I received this when I became a teacher. But in the old days, sometimes Zen masters would hit their students, right? You would think, wow, that's abuse. But actually, I mean, it would be considered that today for sure. But in the old days, maybe if a student only had this theoretical Zen mind, right? Only understood, kind of like the story with Zen Master Sung Song that I just read about the student saying, I attained nothing. So maybe a student comes to a teacher, what is my true self? What is Buddha? What does it mean to become one? And the student would go whack. And right when the stick hit the student's mind, the hit, the experience was all one thing. So Zen Master Sung Song would explain it. If you're thinking and I'm thinking, we are separate. But if you are not thinking and I'm not thinking, we're the same. So at that moment, bam, the student would wake up out of their dream. That's the meaning of no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. Completely clear. All the dusts, we talk about the 6 dusts, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind. All of the dusts clouding these senses disappear. So Jeff, if you say Katz, then I'll say only that. So one more step is necessary. So in the poem, I said, mountain is water, water is mountain. Katz! Or hit. That doesn't have mountain or water. That's why we say no mountain, no water. So, expressing that could give us experience of before thinking. So yeah, another teacher would yell. So if a student came, what is my true self? What is enlightenment? How do I become one? The teacher would shout, hot! At that moment, the shout, the mind, the student's mind, the teacher's mind, only one point. So we can all experience before thinking together. You ready? This will be fun. So your mind, my mind, the stick. At that moment, there was no separation. There was no I, you, sound, stick. If you've been joining my live streams, I often say that human beings live in a dualistic world. We create a strong sense of I, my, me. If I create I, there has to be a you. That's where it's opposite. I, you, us, them, good, bad, right, wrong, like, dislike, love, hate. That's all created by thinking. Now, understanding that, oh yeah, we are one with the universe. You hear this in a lot of spiritual teachings. I mean, that's good. But how do you experience that? So one more step. Okay, let's looks like there's a kimchi conversation happening here. So Helena said, you must have the experience of eating kimchi. Otherwise, you will never have your taste buds blown away. Mr. Jet Mango said that they had kimchi with their fries. Cesare said, kimchi ain't that bad. John says, try kimchi on a baked potato. I mean, Why not? You know, I do put it on a lot of things. You can put on salad, put it on eggs for sure. Baked potato, though. Baked sweet potato, not just a baked potato, but a baked sweet potato. Cesare, it's not so common around here. Now, Helena says I make my own Korean style. I used to do that. And maybe I should do it again because it's hard to find kimchi that I like. I'm picky when it comes to kimchi. But I do make my own as well. We should maybe compare recipes, Helena. I'd be curious to see how you do it. I mean, I just bought the red pepper powder that you can find in the Korean market. I buy everything at the Korean market. I put a little bit of radish in there. I had Napa cabbage. Now, typically in monasteries, they don't have garlic or onions because monastics are not allowed to eat garlic or onions. Now, do they eat garlic and onions? Yes. But some templars are more stricter than others. But sometimes you'll find kimchi without garlic and onions. And I find that the garlic and onions give it a really good flavor. I make a paste. I can't remember now. I remember blending onion, garlic, and the hot pepper powder. I'm not sure what else I had in there. I have to look at my recipe. By the way, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Dharma Friends live stream hangout. Wow, 47 minutes have gone by. I got about 10 minutes left. Then I got another meeting. It's pretty exciting. If you haven't already, let us know in the chat where you're watching this live stream from. And again, if you have any last questions, comments, go ahead and put it in the chat now. There's a whole talk about kimchi now. Let's see. Now, Cesare say, if you make it, it isn't it. Helena style? Helena says, Helena's Korean style. Yeah. I'm curious to see your recipe. Let's see. Bob's here. Hey, Bob. I didn't know you were here. Did you just tune in or were you here kind of like in the background? Some people just like, it's funny. Like, if I watch how many people watch the live stream, there's quite a big chunk of people, but they're coming in and out, and I do that too, right? You're on YouTube and you see a live stream. What the hell is he talking about? Why is he hitting the desk? This is stupid. And then you just move away. Or some people have to do stuff. Like Adam. Let's see. So John says, mountain is mountain, water is water, picks up glass and drinks. Okay, so you answered the Kongan. I asked, is this a cup? If you say it's a cup, you're attached to name and form. If you say nothing, you're attached to emptiness. That's correct. But the mountain is mountain, water is water. One more step. All right. I'm going to get through the chat. Now it's like it's exploding near the end. Quantum Zen Online, I'm very excited for your next meeting. I have a feeling that's Tam. I'm meeting Tam in 11 minutes. And now we know who you are. Quantum Zen Online 8146. So Mr. Jet Mango, how does one obtain a Zen stick? Are they being selected from somewhere or a teacher picks one for himself? I don't know what other traditions do, but I do know, well, I'll tell you how I got mine. And I haven't asked other teachers how they got theirs. But this, I love this stick. First of all, it's not too big. Wow, my camera is working very well. It's funny, this is just a webcam, by the way. My good camera doesn't work very good in this situation. So this stick was made by a resident at the Providence Zen Center. If you've been to the Providence Zen Center, there's 50 acres of forest. This person went out into the forest, found a stick, I guess sanded it down, stained it, and then gave it to me for my Inca ceremony. So that's how I got mine. I'm not sure how other people's got theirs, but I think usually it's given to the teacher. I don't think the teacher picks one for themselves, at least in the Quantum School of Zen. So Bob said, just tuned in. Man, you missed a lot, Bob. You can watch the recording. I'm not sure if any of it was interesting. Duke Buddha. Love that name, if I'm saying that right. In your option, maybe you meant opinion, but anyways, Jason, should we add an hour of sleep to Kilche? I think we were just talking about this last week. Would it be better to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep rather than 5 to 6? Right. We talked about this because wake up on Kilche is 4:30 a.m. and we start bowing at 4:45. Practice at night ends at 9:40 p.m., right? That's after the last two chants. So you figure if you get to bed by 10, which most people don't, they stay up and read books. I have a lot of Kilche stories. I'm almost ready to do it. What really happens in Kilche? Maybe it's a whole video I should make. I don't know if it's a live stream event. It could be. So let's see. So if you go to bed at 10, that's 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.5 hours. So it is possible to get 6.5 hours of sleep. So a little more than 5 to 6. And most people don't. So let's say you're getting 6. Would it be better? I don't know what you mean by better, right? Because there's a lot of things that happen in Kilche that we're not used to. First of all, you usually don't eat as much as you would in your daily life, right? In your daily life, maybe you're more active. You're walking around, you're working, you're doing things. I guess unless you just sit in the office all day. But you need more calories when you're not in a retreat situation. But when you're in a retreat situation, you're doing a lot of sitting. Now, you are doing a lot of walking meditation. Those 10 minutes of walking meditation add up, but still it's not very much. You don't need as much calories as you usually do. Now, I'm talking from my own experience. I'm sure somebody else would have a different experience. I find that I don't need to eat as much. That's one thing. Second thing, you're also not thinking too much. Let me see how to put that. Let's see, you're not thinking about planning too much. Well, maybe that's not true either. I guess what I mean is you have a schedule to follow, right? Everything is being done for you. Somebody's cooking for you. Somebody's getting you up. Somebody's keeping the time for you. You just follow the schedule. The only decisions you really have to make is what condiments are you going to put in your oatmeal, right? Or do I take a nap on break or do I take a walk, right? There's not much to decide because you're just following the schedule. Now, depending on your karma, you may be thinking about a lot of other things like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Or why am I sitting in this stupid retreat? Or, Kilche is set up to really reflect your mind back to you, and that can be tiresome. So you can have different experiences in Kilche, and I've had all of them, to be honest. Some of them I'm very energized. Some of them I'm very tired. Some days are different. Some days I want to be there. Some days I don't want to be there. Some days are clear. Some days are in a dream. Some days you're, like I said, have a lot of energy. Some days you have none. So I think the schedule, including the sleep, is designed in a way to help you reflect your mind back to you. Because something's interesting when you get tired. And Zen Master Sung Song said it was a technique that if you're really tired, you don't really have much energy to think. Right? Because maybe you're falling asleep. So, as far as like being healthy and long term, I think getting sleep is very important. In fact, if you watched one of not my last video, but the video before that, there are only a few essentials that you really need. And I learned this during my solo retreat. Usually you think, oh, I need music and I need a romantic partner and I need all of these things. You don't need those things. What you really need, and I learned this from a 90-day solo retreat, is food. I couldn't fast for 90 days. I do fasting, but not that long. Shelter, so some kind of warmth, shelter. Sleep. And some kind of schedule or something to do. Can you imagine? I just was imagining 90 days, like with no plan. You just like, you're all by yourself in the cabin. You're like, all right, now what do I do all day? So some kind of schedule. So I found that sometimes I don't also need as much sleep because I'm not like as a father and teacher and stuff, I'm planning and thinking and doing so many things that it's quite tiring physically and mentally. And I think more sleep is helpful so I can function. Now, have I been tired in Kilche? Yes, especially if I stay up past 10. But I tell you what, the last few years I've sat Kilche, and it's only been a week because of my situation, obviously. So I'd sit a week at Kilche. And, if you're only sitting a week too, you never get fully used to the schedule. I think it takes, for me, several weeks to get used to the sleep pattern, the food, the schedule, all of that stuff. It takes a few weeks or more. So there's that aspect of it too. But I notice now that I'm not tired. I used to fall asleep during morning meditation. Never fall asleep now. Now, do I need a nap? Yes, I do. Definitely after lunch, I'm tired. I got to sleep. But I wake up, I feel super energized. So I'd have to say that I never fall asleep. I think my son just told me this. Never say never. I usually don't fall asleep in Kilche sitting at all. So the 6 to 6.5 hours of sleep is enough. Now, somebody asked Zen Master Song Hyung, Bobby Rhodes, why we have very little sleep. She goes, if you are tired, that means you have too much thinking. Now, there is some truth to that, I have to say. So anyway, that's how I feel about it. I think it's just right for the situation to reflect your mind back to you. Is it pleasant? No, it's not. Do I recommend getting 5 to 6 hours sleep long term? No, I don't. But I think for Kilche, it's fine. All right, Jeff, take a hike on a mountain and sip of water from the stream. Not bad. I'm going to give you my end of the poem in about 2 minutes because that's when we'll end the stream. Helena, must have ginger and garlic. Yes, I do put ginger in my kimchi and garlic. Yeah, please email your recipe. She says it's super duper spicy and hot and smelly. Can't wait. Duke Vuda, thank you. I know you have to leave soon. I'm okay with less food, less distraction, etc. I just find being sleep deprived. I feel more dissociated, less grounded. It's true. I understand Kilche let us see our minds, so we let go of likes and dislikes, such as wanting more sleep. I think that sleep deprivation doesn't help my practice, but thank you. Yeah, it's really hard to tell you what actually helps in practice. And I have to say the difficulties mentally and physically have been the most helpful. I know it's counterintuitive. And yeah, there are some effects you can have, especially, like I said, if you haven't digested the schedule or gotten used to it. Have you sat a whole 90 days? Just out of curiosity. I'd be curious to see what your experience is in the whole 90 days. Usually people adjust to the schedule, but if you're just sitting the week, it can be very challenging. I do agree with you. But it's kind of like pain. I do have pain while sitting in meditation, but I remember when I first started sitting long retreats, if I focused on the pain, if I was feeding the pain in my mind, it hurt more. And it's kind of like the tired. Sometimes we fight the tiredness, which makes us more tired. Because I used to do a lot of tricks, like splash water in my face, go outside in the cold weather to wake up, a lot of different things. But it's kind of like your thinking. If you're trying to stop your thinking, you're just going to have more thinking. If you're trying to fight the tiredness, you're going to be even more exhausted. If you try to fight the pain, you're going to have more pain. It's just like with anything in life. All right, it's 1 o'clock. I got a meeting to go to, but let me just blow through the chat real quick. William Johnson, do you think it's common that practitioners might get stuck by becoming attached to the experiences and gets during retreats and bypassing off the cushion practice like dying? Yes, 100% yes. watch my video called, maybe go to YouTube, Jason Quinzan, just type in spiritual bypassing. I talk a lot about this. People do get attached to experiences. I did that when I did my 90-day solo retreat. I think I might have talked about that during in that video. If not, I'll bring it up in the next live stream. It's a very good something I like to share over and over again, and I think it can be helpful. Helena, I did a 90-day retreat with no schedule except my own. I think it was a test to see what would I do. Yeah, I would not do that. I don't trust my thinking. Belgium's arrived. Blessed day, everyone. Restoring wisdom. Hey, I mean, you're here right at the end, by the way. I know the time change threw people off. We're actually ending the stream, but thanks for being here. Oh my gosh, someone just made a, Eric, thank you so much for your donation. I really appreciate you. It really does help keep these things going. It really does. All right. Let's see. Anyways, restoring wisdom. I'm glad you're here, but we got to go. Let's see. Duke Voodoo. Okay, 2 weeks of retreat. Okay, I've done 2 weeks the last 2 years. Before that, just 1 week. I appreciate your answer very much. Good. I'm glad it was helpful. Cesare says, thanks, Jason. Good to see you, Cesare. John says, things just as they exist are the truth. That's not bad. SS Talkies. I like that. Hi, Jason. SS Talks here. Long time. Hope you're doing well, Jason. Yeah, it's great to see you here. Welcome back. We do these every Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific time now. I know the time change, it threw a lot of people, or at least if you're international, meaning outside of the U.S., it threw you. I'm sorry about that. Eric, thank you so much for your super chat, $5. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. This keeps it going. Just realize that. Helena says, thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to end with finishing the poem, okay? And then I'm going to say goodbye. So first, thank you everyone for being here. Appreciate you all. Very good questions, comments today. Very active today. And we do this every Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific time. Restoring Wisdom, thank you so much. Glad I got some minutes. See you next time. You can watch the recording if there's anything interesting here. John says, thanks, Jason, in chat. See you next time. Anyways, I appreciate you all. Thank you for your support and keeping this all moving along. Couldn't do it without you. All right, here's the poem. Mountain is water. Water is mountain. No mountain, no water. Mountain is mountain. Water is water. How do we finish this? The mountain is blue. Water is flowing. Have a clear day, everyone.